So thank you for taking over. So I had time to grab lunch a little, at least. We are a little bit ahead of time, I think, even. So we have a little more time to discuss with our great panel. And I have the chance to give the colleagues behind me the time to prepare everything. For the great guests I have here with me on this second panel of the day. We'll talk about scaling AI successfully because maybe we heard already some use cases today, and I think all of you can count in an instant how AI potentially can help companies build new business models, make their processes more efficient. However, the big question I see in my daily interaction with companies often is that scaling from one single use case that works out and maybe even is profitable to using AI in a whole organization are two different things. So that's what I'm here to discuss today with my panel, how to actually move from that one use case up to scaled applications within an organization. We have an interesting composition of the panel. So we have SAP and HPE here with me, so from the software data side, and we have some industry players, so Siemens and ZF, who will share maybe how scaling AI is also a little different from scaling normal physical products. So I'll maybe ask you, Hana, move now on the stage again. No, she's there. I'll ask all of you on the stage so I can exactly introduce you one by one. I hope you all had good, you don't have to be afraid. You're more than welcome. Exactly. We have here the microphones beside your tables. The water is all fresh, so feel free to drink. Please come and join me, exactly, so I can sit down as well, because I'm running the whole day, I feel. No, I'd like to start with a short round of introductions so that you know with whom I'm talking today. I have Dr. Feiyu Xu. Okay, I'm tried. She is Senior Vice President and Global Head of AI for SAP. She also got a PhD, a very broad background in research and computer science. So she was head of the AI lab at Lenovo and also principal researcher at the German Research Center for AI. So you have a lot of insights from the research perspective, from the business perspective on how AI works and how it can be scaled. Great to have you here, Faye. We are another computer scientist right beside each other, Dr. Hana Niederbrucker. She's here from ZF. She has a master's degree, as I said, in computer science from University of Prague and got her PhD in scientific computing from the University of Vienna. She has exactly working experience in the fields of information security and now works as an AI product manager in corporate IT at ZF Friedrichshafen. Her current focus is on developing a solution for connected computer vision. So I'm curious to hear about that from you, Hana. So continuing now with our third panelist, Florian Doerr. You're from Hewlett Packard Enterprise. He's head of data practice DACH. So I think what you can bring into discussion, which is great because AI is of course not on its own. If the model's working, that's great, but we also need some data to work with. So I guess you can provide a great perspective on what are the preconditions for actually being able to have an AI application and then, of course, scale it as well. And last but not least, we have Thomas Hahn. He is here from Siemens. He's Chief Expert Software at Siemens AG since 2011. Also computer scientist. So we have a lot of technical expertise here. Today, he is head of, or he was in the area and still is in the area of manufacturing, had roles as head of software development, for example, for industrial automation systems. So we'll also look a little bit into industrial AI use cases in specific. So I think we have a great combination here on the panel. And maybe to start off the discussion, I already mentioned it, Hana. You are actually now in the process of developing an AI system for ZF. Maybe you can just explain us a little what you're doing, what's the goal, and how it's going so far.
Okay, so I will very briefly introduce the project. Actually, we have a talk also with my colleague tomorrow. So who is more interested in it, please take part tomorrow. But very briefly, what is the goal of the project is to offer computer vision or AI-based quality inspection in the production halls in the ZF globally. So we have a lot of products. Every now and there are some defects, and there are people like manually or so in some not good conditions inspecting the product. And there's also a good example where the AI can be used to automate the process. And and the project aims for offering this to the ZF to the production halls globally. So not in an individual case, but in general.
Okay, so that's basically computer vision. I guess that's one of the large fields where AI at least can be used in industrial context. I guess that's where Siemens is working with AI a lot as well. Thomas, is that right?
Yes, it's right. Thanks a lot for the invitation. And for sure, I studied also computer science, was also in the I think second wave of AI at the university, when I remember correctly. But nevertheless, regarding AI applications, you know, when you're looking at Siemens, we are using this in different areas. We're using this, Hana, you mentioned this in the factory, where we're trying to improve. And you have heard a perfect keynote in the morning about efficiency, productivity. Let's say these are the KPIs which we want to achieve with AI, which we're achieving this. This is where we are internally and externally with customers. You know, we are covering the complete fledge of the domains from I think a colleague from my side has spoken from healthcare in computer tomography system where you can detect some kind of areas which are not so nice and support the radiologist, for example, where you're using AI in training of the machines, or when you're engineering system, a machine, or planning and product, simulating this, and you can with AI reduce the simulation because it's relative time consuming or also taking time, or in the production side, you know, I mentioned one example, like you mentioned in the site, but also other one in energy for wind parks, where we have application running, where you're looking from which direction the wind is coming, what is the weather forecast, what is the energy forecast, how to optimize the different windmills with reinforcement learning, and loop it back to the, let's say, classical control loop which we have. So, also meaning we are covering this in areas where we are present, internally and externally with customers. That's in a nutshell where we are. And to support this, when you're addressing all the technology aspects, we have a research lab or departments besides the business developing this. And here, you know, the complete fledge of technology, reinforcement learning, explainable AI, trustworthy AI. Maybe we have later the discussion about this. Well, thanks a lot.
Of course, Thomas, I think we'll cover that topic as well. Trustworthiness, we already had it in the panel before. Through regulation is of course a topic. As you said, AI is coming into all aspects of business, into existing products, also of course enabling new products. My interpretation would be that for industry companies, it's a little more of a challenge maybe, as opposed to, for example, SAP or Florian, for your company, where you already got some experience with, okay, how to actually work with software products. What are the important aspects to have in mind when scaling or setting up such an AI project? I don't know if you want to maybe elaborate. One of you, Florian, if you want to start.
Yeah. I think there are a couple of prerequisites, and I divide that into two dimensions. So first, our projects that we are delivering as HPE to customers, and then helping customers scaling their AI. And the second part is, I mean, at the end of the day, you need to get access to the data. That's simply said, but if you want to scale AI use cases, it's a hard thing. It's a very hard thing to do because the data is sitting in business applications all over the place. You have many factories with very different applications on the field. And what happened is over the last years that the applications, to get access to the data, the applications are connected to each other. So interfaces are created, and it was done over the last years. And basically what happened is a big mess because every application is connected to each other and you cannot control it anymore. Now, the prerequisite to really scale AI progress is coming from an application-centric view to a data-centric architecture, to put data in the center of the architecture and connect business applications once to a central like data hub, where services are in the middle, and then I can use tools and the data scientists can access through a common like interface or common platform to each and every application, and then you can assure data governance, you can assure you can establish a global metadata management, a global data catalog, and that helps to scale AI use cases.
All right, thank you, Florian. I think what's interesting here, or maybe what my interpretation would be, that we see a lot of like huge AI companies coming from the US, many of them also being B2C, because maybe the data access also might be a little easier, and that also B2C or a B2B business with companies then with the challenge of scaling within companies actually, and not only with end consumers, maybe brings some different challenges. Now, Fei, you are very familiar with B2B businesses. How do you assess now the state of AI and the chances and potential or the challenges when it comes to scaling these applications in B2B?
Yeah, I totally agree with Florian, right? Without data, we cannot do AI, right? Data sharing for B2C, we know as individual, right? AI is almost in our everyday life. We use our face to unlock the mobile phones almost every day, sometimes 100 times, right? But the individuals and consumers give often consent for data sharing. And this part I observe also, the big trend is also many companies, our customers, SAP customers, the trend is they are ready, they want to share the data. Why they want to share the data? Because then we will become part of the intelligent ecosystem. Because the data, for example, supply chain, business network, right? Each individual company cannot not have the optimized supply chain risk management and also business network. Therefore, many of our customers recognize if they are part of the ecosystem, data ecosystem, they will become more competitive. They are part of this data-driven ecosystem. Therefore, many customers of SAP, they agree. I don't give you the exact number, but it's really optimistic. It's really scaling. Secondly, I think also for the scaling, it's also about the business model, right? Many companies are still in the old industry, on-premise industry. It's a linear industry, the business model. If we set up a data-driven ecosystem, many companies become exponential, have an exponential business model like many hyperscalers, platform company. The potential is so big. It means not only scale of the products, also scale of the ecosystem business model.
I see. Yeah, exponential. That's a good word, I'd say. Hana, how far are you away from an exponential, you could say, application with the project you're working on? Or maybe not that me question, but what do you think? What are the steps that are missing until you get maybe exponential?
I wanted to ask you if you can rephrase the question. So thanks for that. No, it's the challenges were actually also mentioned with the data. So actually what is also the framework offering is also, so for the not only the computer vision, but what we actually spent now most of the time was building the framework, how to gather the data in a standardized way so that we create a central way how to store, to also allow the data scientists all over the company to access them, and also to enable sharing the know-how. So we want, because so far we saw that there are a lot of individual solutions which work, but they don't scale. So if you want to build it, you have to build it from scratch. The people don't know about each other, who built what and how to share the knowledge. And actually, it's much more now, more a challenge to not connected to the AI, but more like building the infrastructure, then to be able to really focus on the AI in a very good and very scalable and very quick way. So now we are actually not at the beginning, so we learned a lot, but now we are in the full phase of creating the framework, which will then be able to be deployed to the factories and then to spend time with the AI. And one challenge I would maybe mention what we face in developing the product is the product is not something which is delivered to each of the customer in the same way, because there are different products in the factories. So we have to identify the part which is common for all of the companies, which then can be deployed in the same way, and then also identify the individual part which should be configured. And this, I think, it's a very big balance between making one product which would scale very well, because we would deliver it as it is to all of the company, but it would not make the customer satisfied, because it would be one solution and one needs cogwheel detection, one needs OCR case. And the other extreme is prototyping, so building individual solution for each of the internal customer, which does not scale. So I would mention this one challenge which we are facing, somehow finding a good balance, how to design the product so that it serves the purpose, that it has the general part which can be deployed very quickly, but having also the configurable part which makes the customer satisfied. So this is maybe one challenge I wanted to point out.
So I guess it also makes because it's coming back to you, please add, what my interpretation was that you need to talk differently to your customer as well. At least you have to kind of have a different conversation of what you're actually selling and how you need to work together. Maybe that's, I think, similar to what you already started on.
I want to share some experience. Our SAPs, for us, we have similar challenges, right? Therefore, we classify our portfolio into two classes, actually three. In order to cover all the needs of our customers, we have hundreds, thousands of business customers, right? Therefore, on the one hand, our major focus to infuse AI applications in the business process, in the standard applications. And the major reasons also, most companies don't have their central AI team, right? They don't have data scientists. Furthermore, they want to use the business application for finance, human resource, without thinking about this is AI, right? Like use our face. Therefore, low touch, no touch, very important, as you mentioned. But this is a big challenge, right? This means which kind of machine learning models and also human-machine interaction that customers have the feeling they have intelligence, but without using their own too much intelligence of themselves, right? The second one, like all of our customers, right? Each industry, each customers, they have their own needs. How can we help them also adapt their own needs, right? Therefore, we have our business technology platform with the extension suites. They have AI developers, AI engineers who are able to adapt our AI services to their business processes. The extension, we call it extension suite. And the third one is also, there are companies like ZF, like Siemens, like HPE, yes, right? You have AI teams, right? They want to build perhaps also business processes themselves, right? Like logistic network, smart manufacturing. They can run on SAP's platform and deploy it. This is, therefore, I think we have a holistic offering in order to support all the customers. This can be an example for other companies.
Yeah, maybe a comment to that. I think that's a very critical point to make. AI use case is scalable, that you enable the companies using the tools without being the super expert in data. Yeah, so I have many examples where the data teams in the manufacturing said, okay, I need to be the person that guides the business people to work with the system themselves, rather than that I'm doing that because I'm not scaling, right? And I think we need to come to a point where the tools, the solution, the process are in place, that it's usable and buildable for everybody. Yeah, so this rather than it's a special field where only 10 people in the company can do that. So I think that's critical.
That's touching, I think, upon what we heard this morning already on data literacy, but Thomas, you wanted to say.
Yeah, and maybe coming back to your comment regarding data sharing, the good thing is, and you're absolutely right, when you give an example, an use case, when you want to have for the complete chain, from the raw material up, you make the deconstruction of the part, where we hopefully have some kind of circularity to reuse it again. You need somehow along the complete chain some kind of data transparency. And I would say at the moment, and we are really here at the moment also from our ecosystem, we were sitting here together, let's phrase it in this way, with our customers. We are thinking about, give one prominent example, Catena X, where we're really looking how a data ecosystem, however you name it, is from the complete chain, which I described, but the different suppliers in the chain. You know, you have the company destructing the car, it's for automotive. You have the company building the car. You have the company maybe producing parts, or many companies producing parts of the car. You have the company, one is sitting, for example, here. You have maybe the companies supporting, bringing the, let's say, the automation system from our side, or you have the material. So here's really a moment, a big push, and that's good, because it's really building some kind of ecosystem, common understanding, where for the benefit of its all, of course, data also are related with knowledge of the machine, but we can handle this. Is there some kind of mindset shift that we have to do something? You know, the same is in other domains, energy and so on. Also pushed, you know, from the needs which we have, sorry to say, at the moment, really to get it done for our economy in total.
Okay, so maybe keep that for the audience. The one big thing to start scaling, or as precondition for scaling, is you need the data. So, and you need it accessible, you need it fast, and you need it especially accessible to all involved stakeholders, maybe also in the new kinds of interactions you have between customer, developer, and so on. But Hana, you already started. I wanted to, because you mentioned on it data literacy, it came up here as well, that you have developers on the one hand, you have domain experts on the other hand. So often, if you're very lucky, you have one person who's both, but okay, I see that's not often the case, but maybe let's dive a little bit into that, because to scale, you also need enough people that are there that can scale. So Hana, maybe you look on it when you're in the project right now, how you're handling this challenge of bringing together the necessary expertise.
That's a good point. That I just wanted to point out that I like also the different aspects of scalability. So you also say, like, if we scale AI, but always my question is, like, with what? Do we look at the number of deployments? Do we look at the amount of data or on the inputs? Do we look at the people at the organization? So I think that it's always also good to add, if we talk about scaling AI or scaling anything, with what we scale it. So now I talked about the technology, so like how to scale it if we have one deployment, so how to scale it if we need hundreds of deployments. So then we had to look at the technological aspects. So how can we develop such a software which is deployable in a short time? But then we also can look at the organizational aspect, and this is, I would say, more difficult. We actually heard also about, there are some connected things, like we heard about trust in AI, so how to train the people, how to educate the people, and those are also things which has to scale. So it's not enough if I deploy it very quickly, but if the people don't trust it, if they cannot use it, if I don't scale also the training, then I may also have a problem. So I like the different aspects of scaling. Yeah.
Totally agree, right? Actually, a data-driven approach is not only data-driven for product, right? It means ecosystem. It means also intelligent transformation for a company. The company will change totally, right? How people work together. It's a complete different company for manufacturing company, right? Also continuous improvement, right? The feedback of the customer. Therefore, I want to share with you, at SAP, we really did a lot of work, make the scaling possible. The data sharing, I just talked about the legal framework, right? How you make the legal framework possible that the customers willing easily to share the data with you. This is on paper, and then you need a data platform. And furthermore, how can make like at SAP, we have data in about the finance, about supply chain, right? The AI scientist, data scientist, even me myself, right? I'm an AI scientist. I don't know everything about manufacturing car suppliers, right? Therefore, the collaboration between the data scientists and also I emphasize data engineer, because if we don't have data engineer, and then we have garbage in, garbage out. Right? Sometimes, often the companies didn't consider this as a very important part, right? Oh, we have some data scientists, computer scientists, we will be successful. No. If garbage in, then garbage out. And also we need also AI developers who have really interest, understand the business context and interest in the customer values, right? Business value. And also able to translate the technology into the domain technology, right? Therefore, collaboration between even between the AI experts, right? Between data scientists, data engineer, AI developer, domain expert, and also machine learning operation, right? If we run machine learning models, this must be compliant. Therefore, at SAP, we released last year 4 new job profiles: data scientists, AI scientists, data engineer, and the AI developer and the machine learning operation. These guys work together with the business group together. We have very clear collaboration model. Who is responsible for what? Of course, not the AI scientist, data scientist responsible for the final results. The product owners and also the business owners, right? They should also be motivated how to sell the intelligent product. It's such a big change for every company, right? It's revolutionary change.
I think you described, or you both described it very well, scaling up at different aspects. Maybe the easiest one is the technology that you need. Then you have the people in doing this, then you have the understanding, you have to have the ecosystem, and then you have also to roll it out. You know, when you look in our domains, it's not a SAP, a ZF, HP or Siemens, we may be covering 10% of the GDP from Germany. Don't ask me, less number. It's a big one. So 90% are the small and medium-sized enterprises. And this is how we to roll it out, how to help them, how to do it together. I think this is also ecosystem training aspect, rolling out aspect, which is, I think we are all working on it. And coming back to the organizational changes, and you know, Siemens, okay, producing a product, selling it. Producing a product, selling it. Sorry, it makes it a little bit topic. So we have a big shift inside the company, and I can tell you, our boss forced us to make training about platform ecosystems, that we're knowing how this is different. So that products have features, ecosystem have partners in the different partners. So really this mind shift really to push forward, and I can tell you everybody, the top 200-300 have to do it, the training. So its meaning is there's a big push and an understanding, and also with the Catena X example, on an understanding in a broader sense, is that we have to do something.
Just to jump in a little, Florian, I saw it's super interesting because that also makes obvious where it's located within your company, this shift in mindset. No, it's coming from the top. No, they're saying, okay, we're getting a kind of a platform company. That's maybe a stretch, but that's the mind shift and the push you need. Apparently, like you're doing it, at least from the top management. No,
it was from the top. It was from Roland. Let's phrase it in this way. He's the CEO, and the push it. And like you said, you have also to train the salespeople because it's different what you have to do.
And that's not coming overnight. I mean, if you think about the investment cycles, from those people who we SAP and myself, HPE, are talking to and helping, I mean, they buy machinery for 20, 30 years, and now they need to define product solutions that have a life cycle of years or months or even days. That's a complete shift in the way things are working and the way also the investment is being done. So as you said, the technology part is not a problem. So we can solve everything with technology. I think the hardest part is the process and the people.
And you mentioned a good topic, brownfield applications. You know, when you have in energy market, don't ask me, I'm not the expert in energy, but maybe an energy system running for 30, 40 years. Machine, factory, process industry, don't ask me, 20 years. When you're looking at a big chemical plant, maybe in the automotive, a shorter cycle. But nevertheless, we have to think about it, how we are offering also a solution. Here coming a little bit to the connectivity, but technology aspect, but major part is really, that's it.
Major part, exactly, still the human intelligence in the whole process of scaling AI. Okay, so we saw now exactly different challenges maybe or different setups for scaling AI applications. If you're working in a context where physical production still is the main source of income also for you as companies, makes a lot of different requirements for what you have to think about when deploying AI systems. So I found it super interesting. We need data, first thing. We need the people, second thing. One aspect maybe people, we already had and processes. That's okay. We didn't cover that so far right now, but I guess that's the maybe connected to processes, because we had the panel on the AI Act this morning. Florian, I think you're also into that topic. You have, of course, processes that not necessarily contribute to scaling an AI application, but they need to happen. Compliance, for example. What challenges arise, for example, with these? Thomas, you mentioned trustworthy AI. What role does this play also for scaling? So maybe we can shift a little. Florian, if you want to start with that on data or also privacy issues.
No, I wanted to raise a comment regarding processes. I have an example. I mean, that's one dimension of scaling Industry 4.0 use cases. I mean, what happened is you start 20 use cases as a pilot, and 17 are crap, and 3 are kind of working. And then the question is, okay, it's easy to set up a pilot, so you make a AWS account or Google account, you do a PLC connection, and then measure some data. But then we want to scale this to other production plants. Now the question comes, okay, availability, security, does it fit to an enterprise architecture? So the CISO is going to be on the radar. So all these questions are coming up, and if you don't thought about that at the beginning, you can completely get rid of your stack and build it completely new. So and this is one example of you need to have some processes in place that you need to follow and at least take into account when starting, because you want to scale afterwards. And I think that's an example I have regarding processes.
And then we are back in changing the organization and changing the mindset that we have already the processes ready. If you start, otherwise you have to start with changing the organization as such.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to start developing a product. Yeah.
Okay, and then we're exactly coming back to the people, or how you set up a team to implement such a product. Or if you're starting, for example, from top management, how do you define, or who has the responsibility to make sure that these processes are being used when such an AI application, for example, is started, or tried out at least, or scaled in other applications. So I think that bringing these together, okay, we had a data, people, processes, very well, are three key points when it comes to scaling AI. We now saw already this morning AI Act, the regulatory framework is coming into place as well. Thomas, you talked about the trust, or the concept of trustworthy AI. Why do you think this is important when it comes to scaling?
Okay, maybe to have some thoughts about AI Act and regulation. I have not participating in the morning's panel. My apologies. I was not on the stage, and also not hearing the panel. So I'm saying a little bit about the AI Act. You know, the AI Act, to have some kind of borders is maybe the wrong word, some security. What you are doing and in which classes you are doing is helpful. First of all, statement, because then we are not in a free-flowing area, knowing what is ongoing. When you're looking at, Ina Schiefertiger said this in the morning, AI Act, and she said, I don't know the precise word, something to improve. Let's phrase it in this way. When you're looking then in the details of the AI Act, which application is classified in which area, or which domain is classified in which risk area, which of course is a little bit tricky, because you know in a domain you're using a lot of solutions. The critical one, and maybe it's not critical one. I give an example. When you have train, for sure the train must be safe, must be running. When you have some kind of machine learning on the train, you have to be sure that the system is running safe. Let's phrase. When you have a reservation system for seats, you know, that can be used. But to really look in which risk classes is this taken, we have to be very careful. Second issue is, when you're looking at the AI Act, you know, also some of the definition of AI is in the meantime, I think, changed or will be changed. The Czech Republic from the presidency added here a little bit, because the original AI definition was broad. Let's phrase it. Now it's a little bit more focused on the machine learning, which I think is going in the right direction. Third topic is, when you're speaking about data to train the system. Yeah, to have an topic, to have it, let's say, that you are only training your system with the right data, that's difficult, because data per se can be also wrong. So the system has to handle this. Of course, it should not be biased. This is the topic behind this. So meaning there are several topics which we are addressing, and you know, Melle, you know this. We have done the discussion with regional AI initiatives here around Europe, where we have to put, like Ina said in the beginning, this improvement. This is helpful, but we have to be careful regarding that we're not running, and it's our responsibility to raise, our responsibility, also not here for us, responsibility to raise the voice, what is good, what is helpful, which could be also a competitive advantage when we're selling something outside, because the needs for the system is around the world comparable. But we have to be careful that we have the right regulations. And you know, the scaling can be positive. That was the first topic, but we have to be very careful not that we have firing back. And again, think about this, when you have application to apply, regulations to apply, we all here can maybe hire additional people doing this. As small or medium-sized enterprise cannot do this. So again, here we have to have the tools. and to have the right attitude. But nevertheless, this is on the way, and you know this Mele quite well, where we are at the moment active in. Not knowing the panel and so on.
Exactly, very active at the moment, and I think it's also very good to give some action items to the audience. So you're not only listening, but also taking action afterwards. I think it's an important topic. Besides, that's the thing, because the scaling of the system, as we already had it, is not in isolation. It's not just a mere technical problem that we might have already solved, but it's all the things that are around the AI application itself that make it harder, at least, hopefully not impossible, but at least a challenge for companies to scale. Feiyu already mentioned it as well. The compliance, for example, is a challenge. We're looking at the AI Act that might also create some uncertainty. How do you maybe prepare for that, or think ahead of these challenges now when you're looking at, okay, how does SAP enable its customers to scale AI? Yeah.
Let me put this way, right? I explain how we help our customers to, with our products, with our portfolio, have their intelligent transformation, right? Out of the box, right? Extensions, and also you leverage our platforms in order to build their own machine learning models. Why they should use our platform? Because enterprise readiness, compliance, security, multi-cloud, all these things which you cannot easily leverage hyperscaler because they don't fulfill the standards. Let me put the trustworthy thing, right? For SAP also, it's very important that our customers run the AI system in a trustworthy, responsible way, because you know, we provide business applications, contribute to decisions, running supply chains, recommendations, right? They are mission critical. Therefore, it's very important to make sure that it's trustworthy and compliant, secure, and also we work on the explainability. And that, for example, very simple approval process. Who is allowed to approve what? Right? And we give some recommendations in order to avoid bottleneck. Then we have to explain why this get approval, which percentage, because the person who approved it has such a position in the hierarchy, and whether the material, also the amount of money is allowed in this, right? This kind of transparency is very important. Therefore, the requirement demand of the AI technology, that because deep learning really change AI, right? Change the commercialization. However, when it comes to the business applications, we have to provide, do explanation, open the black box. The combination of machine learning model, I call it implicit knowledge, with knowledge, business context, this combination provides intelligent applications. This is very important. The demand for the AI research development is also very high. Not only black box, open the box, and also embedded in the business context regulations.
And maybe to add on this explainability, what you just mentioned, really, and you are absolutely right. We need here also the research people, because you know when you train something with some data, you have to provide a good feeling, let's phrase this, to the domain, to the user, in his words, also explain him what the hopefully not black box is doing, let's phrase in this way. So meaning in this here, really, where you know have to have really some huge topic of research. I've spoken with a colleague from DFK before in the break. I think this is really explainability, and to be honest, we need this.
Yeah, maybe to add this, so we are also doing quite a lot regarding this explainable AI, but what we observe is that many things are being done for the data science to be supported, to make sure that he understands or she understands what the model is doing. So what we are lacking is to convert that to a business perspective, because this view does not have the person on the machine understand that algorithm. And I think there's quite much going on the data scientist side, but there are no tools yet or no like real approaches to transfer that to a business language to make the business people understand what's happening here.
That's a very good point. I think of the people in the business and the divisions, the model which they used so far a lot are based on physics or mechanics or on the real world. And they can really well explain it. They really know what they are modeling. And if you then come and say, okay, I will give you this one, and it tells you a number, and they don't know why, and then we are at a trust, what actually Sarah Engel mentioned in the morning, like if the people don't understand or don't trust it, they don't know what it's doing, they don't want to use it. So it's a very good point.
And on the other hand, if we achieve that, then the adaptability will increase rapidly. I mean, if I think about driving autonomously, I guess many people will accept driving with an autonomous driving car if they kind of understand what's happening inside the car, rather than it's a black box and doing something with some data somewhere, right?
Yeah. Therefore, I give some comments as an AI scientist. I think for the explainability, you're right? On the one hand, the explainability help the data scientists identify the bias, right? On the other hand, I think there's also a lot of research, even at the TU Berlin, right? DFKI, I have worked at DFKI 19 years, right? Also worked, how can you create explainability in the way that people can understand? Right? And generate the, this is also I connected, I like the direction, the multimodal foundational model, large foundational model. This gives us the possibility. Perhaps in computer vision, you can you leverage the domain knowledge, explain the decision with language. If you have a language model, you can explain with images, right? This kind of combination, and also knowledge graph, right? The combination, I think, with the multimodal and also the knowledge graph will give us the chance for the explainability and transparency of the AI applications.
And when you provide this knowledge, business or domain experts, then you get also confidence in the system, and confidence meaning also the usage of the system. And then we are coming back again to this one of the scaling effects. It's not maybe one part only, but this is also what we have to do.
So you could say it's at least a cycle that improves. So. And Florian, if you want to add, otherwise we have some 5 minutes left. So
I think it's a cycle of proof. It's basically you need to implement trustworthy in the complete life cycle of this data product, from development to operation. And it's not at a certain point in time where it's implemented. No, you need to take care that this trustworthy elements, and explainability is one of them, is implemented across the entire life cycle of a model or for a product.
Which basically means that not only like new processes need to, of course, think about how to realize it, but also existing processes and structures and business models need to change or transform in a way that you can reach that. And I guess that's an extreme challenge for companies, especially on the maybe not the technical side, but the people side, to enable everyone to take his part in that chain necessary for scaling an AI system. But maybe for the last few minutes, Feiyu already mentioned it, super interesting with the foundational models, because I'm wondering, we're now talking about scaling AI. What do you see? What's maybe the future with foundation models? You think it's in the area of explainability, maybe also to the others. What do you think in scaling AI successfully? What are the next important steps, either for you in the project, Hana, or more in general for companies at large?
I'm very happy to see the trend, right? Also, foundation model. Now, also we also leverage the foundation model for business application because, as I mentioned, right, most companies don't have AI team, and we don't have so many data engineers. The foundation model really help us to reduce the amount of data, the labeling data, and also not the individual machine learning models for individual applications, right? The foundation models really can support many applications. This is one thing. Therefore, also very important for the scaling, also for low touch, no touch, the application for our customers. Second one, I think also very important, as I mentioned, right? The multimodal foundation model, right? Language combined with images, even with videos, right? And if I observe there's also research which knowledge graph and in combination of foundational model, right? There's a very good paper from Stanford University, and I think I observe really on the right direction from technology point of view.
It's good to hear. Hope also from the business point of view, Hana, from your product experience.
Your product or just in general. So I would say that the main point is the mindset, what we talked about. So somehow changing the organization. And I think what helps is talking about leading discussion and not leaving AI some magic box, something which is only for a couple of people which sit in the lab, but it's like for everybody, and somehow getting the input and making discussions interdisciplinary. So I think this is, and also from the top management, the change, and somehow that is something which I think it's, yeah, it would help, and it's a milestone, especially in such a as you said, like, yeah, old business manufacturing, when there was a certain way of thinking, it was very successful, but now you have to, within very little time, change completely everything, and then I think that such discussions help a lot. So yeah, one point which Feiyu mentioned, the continuous improvement. So the product is not done, but you have to make the loops and you have to improve it and adjust it and so on. So such mindset.
This is what I want to add, right? I always consider the first prototype, also the first release of AI system, because AI system, this like simulated human capabilities, right? It really depends on the amount of data. The more you run, the data it will. Therefore, also many. Managers and the leaders, they expect too much from AI in the beginning, right? They think this is a magic, it can do everything immediately. But if we observe, we as human, we grow up from baby, and in the beginning we cannot even speak, right? And now we can give talks and have discussions. So this is, I think, also the mindset change. We should also coach and educate our decision makers, say, please be patient with this baby. This baby, if you give good data, if you have good process, this baby will be intelligent, right? This is also the mindset which we have to really help to grow this mindset.
Yeah, I really like the picture, at least. Thomas, you want to add?
And one topic regarding what you said regarding the foundational models or pre-trained models. When we are able, really, we have this for images, for text, and so on is available. It's helping up to scaling up. When you have it also for the different industry domains available, this would be also significant. I have no clue if this is working, because you have to look how a machine is running, what circumstances, condition from motor or something else. But when we have really some kind of this topics, this research topic, we have to think about this. Could be really helping. Besides the effect that, as I said before, ecosystem mindset is important, but this is also a scaling factor for the technology. It could be also a scaling factor.
It's a super interesting question, actually, because we had this morning one talk about where they used, I think, forecasting data for kind of a foundation model. So you all hear about language models all the time, but exactly I wondered that as well. So I think there are at least ideas to start that way. Florian, maybe you with some last ideas when you're. That sounded a little too dramatic. Sorry for that. No, just on what you would start on. Or what would be your priority number one? We of course heard different aspects. of course, there's no one cure fits all, unfortunately. But maybe what would be the first question you would ask yourself? Okay, why is that application not scaling? Where to?
I think it's all about collaboration. It's all about having interdisciplinary teams working with each other. Sitting on one table, defining, okay, what makes sense and what works and what is the first concrete step that we can take, rather than building a big dream house in the somewhere. I think it's all about collaboration, is bringing the right people together, having roles that you mentioned are really key to work together and make that successful. That's, I mean, at the end of the day, it's about the people.
Thank you so much, Florian. Thank you so much to all of you. I think we have something to take away for our audience. So it's data, people, processes, all in collaboration, to say with your words, Florian, what we need to scale AI applications. Yeah, I hope you could take some insights away from this discussion. I'm so happy that all of you were here with me on this stage. You are free to go now. I'm also free to go now, and I'm giving back to my colleague Natalia for the next talks.